Hello, this is Sal. In today's video, we will be talking about CME, Call Manager Express. It's about how to configure the IP phone, about VoIP. Here on this topology diagram, we have a router. I named it router 1, and we have a switch. The switch is connecting the IP phone A and IP phone B on the port Fast Ethernet 01 and Fast Ethernet 02. We have PCs are connected to the IP phones, as you can see, PCA and PCB, and both the PC and the IP phone are connected to the same port. So I'll talk a little bit about CME. It's a Call Manager Express. It's an enhanced IP technology solution that is integrated into Cisco iOS. It's an ideal solution for small business customers to efficiently use their existing IP data connectivity to incorporate the deployment of voice and IP telephony. In Packet Tracer, I need to point this out for you. Only router, this router here, the 2811, this has the CME. I tried the rest, when none, only the router model 2811, which has the CME on it. So now let's configure the switch here. We will have two VLANs, VLAN 10, and this VLAN, we'll name it data, and it's for data for the PC, and VLAN 20 for voice for the IP phones. The IP phone and the PC are both connected with the same connection to the switch. But for the voice, which is the IP phone, will be configured in VLAN 20. This is for voice, and the data will be configured in VLAN 10. VLAN 20 for voice and VLAN 10 for data. So now let's configure the VLANs on the switch, and everything, if you download on the description of this video, download the Packet Tracer source files and the lab, the documents for this lab walkthrough. It will take you step by step how to do this configuration. So here on switch 1, configure terminal. We start with VLAN 10. We will name the VLAN 10 data. Exit, enter VLAN 10 to activate it, and exit here. VLAN 20, name of VLAN 20 is voice. Enter VLAN 20. Now we configured both VLANs for VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Now I will configure the two ports together in a range here, Fast Ethernet 01 and Fast Ethernet 02, because both will be, the data will be in VLAN 10 and the voice in VLAN 20. So back on the switch, interface range F0, 1, and 2, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10. This is for data, and switch port. And look here, we have the options to choose the port as an access, or the mode for the port, or non-negotiate, or the security, priority, protected, trunk, and voice. Either we'll choose access, trunk, and here we have the choice to choose voice for this port, so voice, and on which VLAN for the voice, VLAN 20. So now we configured both Fast Ethernet 01 and Fast Ethernet 02 for VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Now we have this port on the switch F05 which will configure it as a trunk connected to the router. So back on the switch, interface up 0, pass Ethernet 05, switch port mode trunk. Now, I will configure on the router two sub-interfaces for VLAN 10 and for VLAN 20. So the way how to do it is like follows: enable. Now interface pass Ethernet 00, sub-interface 10 for VLAN 10, configure terminal, interface pass 00 for VLAN 10. Now encapsulation .1Q, this is for VLAN 10. Now we give it the IP address of 192.168.1.1 with /24 subnet mask .0. Exit here. Now the interface of pass Ethernet 00 for VLAN 20 for the voice or the IP phones. Encapsulation .1Q, and this is for VLAN 20. Now we give it the IP address of 172.16.1.1, 255.255.255.0. So we configured both sub-interfaces or the router on the switch for VLAN 10 and for VLAN 20. And these two sub-interfaces will be like, they will be the gateway, default gateway for the devices or the hosts in the VLAN. Now for the physical interface, which is pass Ethernet 00, we simply just open the port with no shut or with no shutdown. But we don't configure an IP address on this interface in this example. Now, let's configure the DHCP on the router for the two VLANs. We'll configure two pools, one pool for data and the other one for voice. So now on the router, configure terminal, IP, DHCP. I will first exclude some addresses from the first VLAN, VLAN 10, 192.168.1.1, 192.168.1.10. I'll exclude 10 IP addresses. Now, give it the name IP DHCP pool, the name IP DHCP for IP DHCP, sorry about that, pool. I'll give it for VLAN 10 the name data, network of 192.168.1.0 with /24 subnet mask, and the default gateway of 192.168.1.1. Exit from here. Now for the other pool or the second pool, for the voice, IP DHCP excluded addresses, for also 10 IP addresses, 172.16.1.1 to 172.16.1.10. The network of IP DHCP, pool. I will give it a name voice, and this is the network of 172.16.1.0 with /24 subnet mask, and the default router of 172.16.1.1, and here option 150. So this is for the VoIP users. We will have an option 150 with the IP address of the TFTP server, which is the 172.16.1.1 IP. 172.16.1.1. So we configured both the DHCP for both VLANs, show run, and here, as you can see, we excluded these IP addresses, 10 IP addresses for the data VLAN and 10 IP addresses for the voice. And as you can see here, the name of the pool data, the network of this, and the default router. And so now we will, on the PC, I will click this radio button. So the PCA will take its IP address from the DHCP server, and it got the IP address of 192.168.1.11. And for PCB, also click under the IP configuration. It got the IP address of 192.168.1.12. And go back to the router, show IP DHCP binding, and it's we have these two IP addresses for the PCs, and we are still waiting on the IP address, the other IP address for the other IP phone. So on the switch, I'll run this command, show CDP neighbor, and showing us the IP phone, and on the router, show IP DHCP binding, and here we the other IP address, and also we can see here the MAC addresses for the IP phones and for the PCs. Now on the router, we will start configuring the telephony service on the router. So on the router here, router 1, configure terminal, telephony service. Now we are in the configuration of the telephony. Now, as you can see here, it is maximum ePhones we will be using in this example, which are just 2. So we put max ePhones 2, but we have an option up to 42. This supporting up to maximum phones to support are up to 42. I'll put 2 here, and maximum directory numbers. The maximum directory numbers it can support here is up to 144, but I'll choose only 2. And here for the IP address, the source address, which is 172.16.1.1 port, we have an option to choose from the port 2000 up to 999, so I'll choose port 2000. And another options here is for auto assign, define directory number near range for auto assignment, assign 1 start directory number tag. We want to be tagging from 1 only to 2, and this is the end of the command. So after we are done configuring the ePhone services, I will run this show command on the switch, show CDP neighbors, and still auto, this is on the switch, showing us the first IP phone and the second IP phone on these ports. Now I will continue the configuration, exit from here, and ePhone directory number for ephone 1, and as you can see, the state for this IP phone came up. Now we want to configure a number, which in this case I'll choose this number, 1001, exit from here, and for the second IP phone 2 number, I'll choose this number 2002. And as you can see here, it is registered and change the state to up for the both ePhones. Exit from here, and I want to show ePhone. And as you can see here, it's showing us the IP address and the type and the button, the directory number 2, the number we configured for it, and this is in channel 1 and it is idle. Now let's continue doing the configuration, or let me run this command before. Show run. As you can see here, for the ePhone 1, the device security mode, I did not configure this, but the router configured this for us. The MAC address is here, the type and the button, and the same with the IP phone 2. So let me go on the phone here, the GUI. If I dial this number, it's ringing out. If we go to the second phone, and it's ringing, as you can see here, the light is blinking, which means it is ringing. Click here, and it is connected to the other phone. So I'll bring the other phone. Sorry about that. So I'll hang up and hang up here. So it's showing us the phone number here, which is, we want to call the other number 2002. And it is ringing out. As you can see, the configuration was correct. And back again to the router, show run. I did not configure any the buttons. Usually in the real world, you need to configure the button, the MAC address, and the type of the phone you are using, or the IP phone, but the packet tracer did all of this for us. Usually also the MAC address for the device will come, in a sticker on the IP phone itself, or in the box, which will, they will deliver the IP phone to the facility in. Again, I'll run this command here on the router, show IP Dhcp binding, and showing us the IP addresses for the phones and the PCs. And we ping from the PC to its default gateway, ping 192.168.1.1, and we can. And it ping the other PC, ping 192.168.1.11, and yes, we can. So this is simply how to configure VoIP, and how to configure the telephony service, the CME, how to configure the router as a router on a stick, or sub-interfaces for the VLANs. And we got used to configure the VLANs or the ports between the switch and other devices as either an access port or a trunk. But in this case, when you connect an IP phone, you have an option to choose also to configure the VLAN as voice, the switch port as voice. I hope you learned something or something from this video. Please, if you like it, share the video and give me the thumb up. And if you have any comments, any suggestions, please reach me either on Facebook or write me a comment. And I'll see you soon in my next video. Wishing you a nice day.